The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
First Speaking Podcast, coming to you August 25th, 2028. 2023, excuse me. I was reading something off my phone, that's why I said 28. I apologize about that. August 25th, 2023. On to 25 now. Jeez, what's wrong with me today, man? I am tired. I'm exhausted. How you guys doing anyway, though? Guys, this is the first solo episode we have done. I'm doing in quite a while. First solo episode I've done in a month. And the only reason I even have a chance to do this now is because my wife, I just got from work about an hour ago. My wife took the kids out to see some friends, some family friends. And they're going to go, friends, not family, but friends. They're like family at this point. To have a little girls' night. And while she's doing that, the kids, all our kids get together and hang out, have a good time. So it allowed me to come home. And she asked me want to go and Joe want to go. No, I'm good. I'm going to go home and relax. Then I realized, I haven't done a solo episode in a little while. And not to say we haven't done anything on the podcast. We've been very busy in the podcast. In fact, if you watched the last month alone, we've been doing NFL previews. We've been doing rankings. We've been doing, episodes with different guests, talking wrestling and life. So we've been very busy on the show for the last month or so. But I realized I haven't done a solo episode in a while. And I checked back. It was like the last episode I think I saw was like July 18th. I think it was July 18th. I'm like, yeah, I gotta check in and I gotta let you guys know what's going on with me these days. Because there's a lot going on with me. So right now these days with me here at home. The first thing I want to touch on, first off, last week I actually celebrated my 20th anniversary of my job. 20 years, the same place employment. It's really crazy that I've been working in the same place for 20 years, and I still enjoy it. One of the cool things about my job is the family dynamic. When I got this job in 2003, to me, I was 23 years old. I just moved to West Palm Beach, or should I say back to West Palm Beach, and what I wanted was just to get a job so I can, go to college, and to have enough money to go, do my band. At the time I was in a band, and we were trying to make it big and all this stuff, and went on tour and all this stuff, and didn't really happen, obviously, but those were my priorities back then. And in 3 years, I've grown through that company. I've done things. I've made some friends, and it's boggles my mind that I'm still at this place 20 years later. And for the record, this is the vibe that's always been at this place also too, because a lot of the employees there I work with have been there for a decade, 2 decades, a lot of them 3 decades. I remember last year I said on the show we had all the employees that have been there 10 plus years were being honored at a luncheon, and they're employees that have been working there since the 70s that are still there today, since the 80s, since the 90s. It makes my 20 years feel small. But again, when you can hold the same job for 20 years, it's pretty impressive. And I love it. I have no qualms about wanting to leave it at this point. I still want to be there as long as they have me and as long as I'm happy, and I'm very happy there. And a lot of things a lot of relationships I've built through this place that I'm really proud of. Some have come and gone, and some, still staying there, some of the new ones too. But it's been such a staple for my family. My wife works there too. My wife now, granted, she doesn't work in the actual company. Works as a kind of what we call a vendor in a sense. But she used to work there for a while. But she, is involved with all of us too. And that's one of the cool things about this job, more than anything else. What this job is giving me more than anything else, obviously the paycheck and all that stuff, and that's awesome. Money, able to put a roof over my head and all that. and raising a family and still be able to do that. But more than anything else, what this job has done for me for years is provided flexibility for me to have the life I want to live. It's also providing me a community, which we lean on even more now, in these days where it's tough. And, like I said, I have family I'm close to, obviously, and we do have family, but a lot of my family, are a little further away. Some of my family aren't able to commit to things that we can and can't do. I've spoken on this podcast about how my wife and I schedule. It's pretty not opposite, but we have a schedule set to where we're stretched thin in a way where we have a flexible schedule where we don't need a babysitter for our kids. So no matter what, someone's home with the kids. Sundays I'm home with the kids. She works. Monday I go to work. She's home with the kids. Tuesday she works a double. I'm home with the kids. Wednesday we both work, but she works night. I work day. Thursday I'm off. She's working in daytime. Friday, like today, I work today. She's off today. Tomorrow I work till 5. She goes in at 4. But I tend to leave early often on Saturdays, and especially you see that a lot now going forward because the college football is starting to come back next week. But we have friends of ours that do step in. If I can't leave work on time or early, we have friends of ours who also work at the same place, who also have the same situations we do, same similar lifestyle with opposite schedules and having a child, and that if I can't get to work on time or early enough to be home so she can go to work at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We have friends that watches our kids for an hour to 2 hours, and I'm appreciative of that. That's the community we built here. That we watch each other's kids all the time. Like, so if they want to go on a date, they bring their kids, their daughter to us, and vice versa. And we build a community here. During the summer, we find activities to do with the kids. Between my wife and I, and all the parents of the friends we have at work. And we do water parks and Disney trips and all this stuff. And it's really, really cool how it's all come together. And it takes a village. It really does. It makes me proud that I'm in a place where people can relate. Relate to me, relate to my wife, relate to our lifestyle. Because they go through the same damn thing also too. And, I'm really grateful for that. And this job is the massive thing about this job. This job has provided me that more than anything else is a village. Again, you got people who I've been friends with for 20 years, 15 years, 18 years. We share war stories, kid stories, parents. It's truly astounding. It's truly astounding. I mean, all in the same boat. The community we built here with all our friends and family, so I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for all the things that we've gotten through, gotten and benefited from this place. It's amazing. It's really amazing. So I just wanted to shout out my, all my friends at work and the people I work with, I work for. I appreciate you guys for everything you've done for me, my wife, my kids, being there for us, especially Misty, my friends Misty and Donnie, who stepped in. If you need to watch the boys for an hour because I can't get to work on time, they do it. And if they want to go on a date night and they bring the daughter over to their house, we do that. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have that village. Those options, So and this job has provided that for me more than anything else. That's the biggest value at this place. It's provided a place, a village to people can lean on. You know what I'm saying? And again, not to say we don't have family. We have family, but I don't like. In the case of my mother, for example, I don't want to put that pressure on my mother either. Every week, because she has her thing going. She has health challenges through the years. I don't want to push that on her. She raised us already, and she's always there when I need her, obviously. But I don't want to push that on her either. So again, the village is when the village comes into play, and again, totally grateful for that. So anyway, what else on the docket here? So my wife, I've spoken on this podcast the last 6 months about my health journey. I've been struggling a little bit as of late, with trying to get back into focus. I've don't walk like much as I used to. My eating is kind of up and down. I'm still fasting, which is good, but I'm still kind of struggling a little bit here and there. I lost 15 pounds initially. I got to 200 pounds at one point, and then I can't seem to get under 200 just yet. I fluctuate between 200 and 205, and I can't seem to get under 200 just yet. So it's been a challenge, as of late. My wife, however, she had her health scare recently, about a month and a half, 2 months ago. And it caused her to reevaluate some things. And my wife has now started doing the thing I started doing in March, but she has run with it. My wife is kicking ass right now. My wife, to date, has lost 23 pounds, I think it is, since June, since starting this lifestyle change. She's eating clean. She went to the doctor and she found out she was on that edge of pre-diabetic. And now she's in a pre-diabetic stage now as of her last checkup, because she had some issues with the liver and it was elevated, but now since then they've gotten that under control. But she has run with this. I mean, she if you see our fridge right now, the amount of I've never had this many greens and veggies and stuff in this fridge. She's making her own mayo now, mayonnaise, and making her own stuff. She has taken this and run with it, and she's left me in dust. Honestly, I'm trying to keep it with her. It's hard. But it's been amazing to watch her change her life in this way, dropping weight like crazy, and just the amount of focus this woman has. When she wants something to be done, she's going to get done no matter what. And I find myself watching her do this, falling more in love with her again. I love her, obviously, but every time you see this, it's like you're reminded of, yeah, I'm with the right person. She has her values in order. She has great character, and watch her dedicate her life to doing this now, to a healthier life. It's inspiring. It really is. And I'm trying to keep up with her now. You think the other way around? No, she's inspiring me, and it's truly inspiring. So we have these health scares, like mine and of course hers. Recently too, also our youngest son Logan. We were about 2 months ago. We were getting him checked up for school. Doing his annual checkups to make sure everything's good. They heard the pediatrician said that he had a heart murmur. They heard a murmur in his heart. So we paused. It says go back in 2 weeks. Maybe this a false start. We'll see. We go back 2 weeks later, and then there was the murmur was still there, and it was actually even more pronounced this time. So obviously we find this out, and obviously panic with my wife. Of course, my wife is she's a mom. She has concerns, and I don't blame her. So we decided to book a visit with the cardiologist here, which we had that visit today, and thank God we find out that there's no threat, nothing to be concerned about. Right now, from what he sees there, it's an instant murmur. It should go away at some point. It should grow out of it. My oldest son Eli had it as well too, and he grew out of it pretty quickly. We were just more concerned because of the fact that we heard this twice now, and they said the second one was even more pronounced than the first time. So obviously, my wife has been on pins and needles for weeks, and it's been really challenging to keep her, keep her, the emotions in, because she's going through a lot of stuff too. She's going to therapy now, especially as well, to deal with mental health, because she's been doing a lot of stuff the last 6-7 years. Her dad passed away, and dealing with the adjustments and stuff, relationships with parents and all that stuff. And so she's going through a lot, and so now she's going to therapy now every week now as well, which is great for her. I need that too as well. Folks, take care of your mentals. Take care of your chickens. As Marshall Lynch did say once upon a time, take care of your chickens. Because, yes, money this, money that, and all this stuff, material things, we get that. But if your mental's not in order, you are no good to anybody else. You're no good to your spouse. You're no good to your kids. Take care of your mentals. Please take care of your mentals. So we got good news on the front with our youngest son. So it's not anything serious, according to doctors, which is good. My older son also has some health things to worry about too as well. Nothing serious, but things we have to address. And it sucks because we don't have insurance. It's family. Like we make good money in our jobs, but the drawback of our jobs, again, we work at, but we don't get PTO, we don't get insurance. So all this stuff we're paying for is out of pocket. So because of that, I had to make a big decision this week, which is very unfortunate. So I told you guys, my younger brother Eric is getting married. Well, technically he is married already, but he's planning a big wedding in Curacao, which is in the Caribbean, this December. And I had already put money away for this trip since late last year. And I was starting to continue saving on top of that. And you guys know, early in the year, in February, remember I had my bulging disc in my neck that I dealt with. And because of what happened there, I was not out of work, but my regular job I do, I had to take a demotion for about a month or 2 months. I stopped, I deal poker for a living. So I couldn't deal because of the pain in my neck, and I couldn't really, my left arm was beyond usable. So I was able to still work, but I couldn't work at my job that I make the money I make. So I took a massive hit, money-wise, to start the year. So the money I had put away for the trip, I had to use that to supplement, the bills I got to pay. And remember, bills don't go away. Look, you may be hurt, this and that. Bills still there. Kids got to get fed, this and that. So I used that money. So the hope was, okay, about a month and a half later, I got back to dealing again. The hope was, okay, well, took a little hit, but we'll build up my savings again for this trip. And I realized I couldn't do that. So the idea was, initially we were going to go as a family. My wife, myself, and the two kids all go to Curacao. But it's for all of us to go for a weekend alone. It's going to cost us, when you include not just the paying for the trip, but also not getting PTO and the money we're going to miss, but time of work we're going to miss. You're looking at about $4,000 to $5,000 just for the weekend between her and I. When you talk about spending money and losing time, looking at about a swing of $4,000 or $5,000 just on the weekend. So I decided early in the summer that, okay, well, you know what? Since this is the thing, and I got to be there at this wedding, I'll go. So with me going, I was going to be a little more laser focused. The problem is, we've had a very slow summer at work, number one. Number two, while my neck is getting better, there's still soreness there. So I haven't worked my entire shifts every day. I worked less this summer because after a couple hours I start to feel a little sore and whatnot. So I end up leaving early from work and all that. So the combination of those things, basically what it is I haven't been able to save money to build back my savings for the trip again. Then all these things started happening with my kids, with the health stuff, and I pay out of pockets and that. I still have to pay for chiropractor. I still go to chiropractor every week to work on my neck and all this stuff. So all these things, and remember, I don't have any health insurance, so it's all out of pocket. So I had to make a practical decision this week, and it hurt me to do this. But I had to text my brother and tell him, listen, I just don't think I can make this trip between everything's going on, between, my issues with my neck that I'm still dealing with, and not me, I'm still not able to work fully, plus the money I lost early in the year, my wife, and what she's going through now, and then my kids, kids and their health issues. Again, all this out of pocket. I had to make a practical choice. And it's not even so much the fact that I can't afford to go. It's the fact that also, too, I can't afford to take off work at this point. I can't afford to lose those hours. It's tough. And this is a drawback of the job I do. If there's a negative, is that I don't get the PTO, I don't get, time, paid time off. And again, even with me going by myself, it's still a $2,000, minimum $2,000 swing. Minimum, and I say minimum, it's probably $3,000, close to $3,000 because of the money I had to pay to the trip, and as well as the time I'm missing from work. So I had to tell him, and I was dreading telling him because I love that kid, man. My brother is one of the nicest, kindest people on the planet. He's always been there for me. Like we had a really strange upbringing because we have the same dad as my mom, but we especially when he got older, he was always there for the things that I was involved in, like the big things. It was a big show. I was with my band. He was always there. He's not even into that kind of music. He still went to the shows. My wedding, he was there, obviously. Anything important, he was always there. So it hurts me to do this. Now, granted, was I at his wedding this past year? The actual wedding happened here. Yeah, I was there, which is fine. But I want to be here for this one. A lot of families gonna be there. From out of town and all that. It's gonna be a great weekend with family and friends and all that, and celebrating two people who are fantastic human beings. But I can't do it at the risk of my family being, financially in a situation. So I had to text him and tell him, listen, I just don't think I can make this trip. So it hurts me to say this. I was even texting him that thing on early in the week. It was shaking and I was like, oh, what am I doing? But again, he and to his credit, he understood. He totally got it. Which is who he is. He's a great person. He understands. He understands it. He doesn't judge you for it. He understands that, it's a destination wedding. There's challenges. There's possible challenges with people, whether or not they can make it or not make it. And I want to be there so bad. I do. But these things that happened this year, the transition of things that happened this year between the bulging disc, this, that, everything else, it's not going to be, unfortunately. So, but I'm glad he understands that, because I'm still hurt by it. I'm still hurt. But, it is what it is. Anyway, a couple of things I want to touch on here before we get out of here. It's been, like I said, the first solo episode I've done in over a month. I did a thing on my unfiltered feed. By the way, guys, I've been, just because I've done a solo episode in a while, this means I haven't been busy. Podcast galore. I've actually done a couple of episodes on the unfiltered feed as of late. I did a couple things on I did one yesterday on react to the Republican debate from Wednesday night. My thoughts on the debate. I did one earlier today on talking about remembering Bray Wyatt and Terry Funk, two legendary wrestlers passed away this week. Terry Funk being 79 years old, not really a big shock that he passed away because he had a lot of health issues. But Bray Wyatt being the one that was the bigger shot because he was 36 years old, still part of the company, a lot of health issues there. He was out for 8 months and just a shocking news there. So I did that. But I've also been doing podcasts with I told you guys I relaunched my wrestling podcast, Wrestling Retro Podcast. It's called the Wrestling Retrospective. I've been doing that weekly for the last month now. It's been kicking ass. Great guests. We've been doing watch-alongs, all that stuff, and it's been really, really good. So I've been busy. I've been really busy with podcasts, actually. I just haven't done a solo podcast in a while. The Basketball Retrospective podcast I have not launched as yet. I'm going to push that till later in the year when basketball starts, probably closer to even early next year, because the schedule now with football coming back in the next couple weeks, college football starting this weekend, and before you know it, NFL's back in 2 weeks. So I want to kind of pace myself a little bit too. I don't want to get burned out either, because things are gonna wrap up here with all these shows. Let me see what else I got here. I'm also going to be starting a book club on the show. And this is something I've always wanted to do for a couple of years, but I've never had the time to do it, or not have time to do it. Never the time to really invest in a book. Like I'm actually a big reader, but I'm so up and down with reading these days. There'll be times I'll go through like 3 or 4 books in a span of a month, and then I won't read another book for another 2 or 3 years. But what got me with this, what really got me to wanting to do this now, the episode this did a couple weeks ago, my friend Joshua Preston Jacobs was on this feed from like 3 weeks ago. We went almost 2 hours, and there was a book on the show he was showing me called Generations, and we got into conversation about that. Actually, I actually put a clip of that on my YouTube page. You can check it out at Earnest EJ Christian on that segment. And it got me thinking, because I want to get the book. I'm going to get the book. And I told him, we should discuss it next time on the podcast. We discuss the book. And then it dawned on me, I was like, wait, if we do a thing on that book, and then him and I were talking about other books we want to read as well too, because he's big in the media too, likes to read books and all this stuff, whether it's sports or nonfiction, whatever. That we could probably actually, the book club could be reality, because I have a bunch of friends. A bunch of friends I have that are into books, and different kind of books, politics and basketball and football and other things, anything. I'm not big on fiction, to be honest with you. I'm mostly big on nonfiction stuff. So I was like, dude, this is good. I can actually launch the book club now. So we're gonna start a book club. I don't know when we're gonna do the first episode, because there's a couple books he sent me. He wants me to read, and we can discuss on it. Got a couple of friends I've told that, hey, listen, I'm into books. I'm going to start a book club in the show. If you give me some recommendations, I'll read the book with you, and then we can, chop it up after. So look out for that on this feed in the coming months. I don't think it'll be anytime like directly soon, but maybe in the next like 2 months, maybe you'll see a first book club reading discussion on here. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it, because it's something I've been wanting to do for years, and I just hadn't really had a chance. I remember back in 2014, I had the idea of doing a summer reading thing every year. And I remember the 2014, I bought a bunch of used books from Amazon for cheap. It was like 5 NBA-related books. And I did read most of them, but it took me a long time to finish it, because I got distracted with other things. But now it's becoming reality. I'm excited about this. I'm really excited about this. So look out for the book club coming on the podcast. We'll have it very soon. One more thing also, we get to this week's QOTW responses for Question of the Week's response, which actually is a month old. I am continuing my personal fantasy football ban. You guys should know by now, I haven't played fantasy football in a couple of years. It's not that I hate fantasy football. I don't hate it. It's that, okay, when you do the draft, that's fun as hell. Best part of fantasy football is the draft, because whether or not you get together with friends or whatever, it's fun. You can chat with your friends and talk about picks and talk about this thing and whatnot. It's fine. The first weeks and a couple weeks in the season, it's fun because the hype of football is back. Everything's back, and then I start to not care about week 5. And it came to a point where 4 years ago, like, why am I doing this? Why am I holding up a slot for someone else if I know I don't give a shit by week 5? By October, I'm done. I'm checked out. Because you got to stay on top of the waiver wire, and you got to stay on top of your roster. And yeah, I know it's week to week, but I have ADHD, and I don't want to care about more things I need to. So I came to the conclusion in 2019, 2018. Listen, I'm just not a fantasy football guy. Now, if there's a fantasy I would do in the future, or I would do once in a blue moon, I'll do daily fantasy, but because that's on my own whim. If I decide on a Sunday I'm going to pick a lineup, that's a one-day thing. That's whatever session you're going to do, and you're done. And plus only that, I also prefer sports betting over fantasy football anyway. I'm over, bet NFL parlays, college football parlays. I'm more into that. With the NBA, I'll do more prop bets on Prize Picks, as I told you guys about months ago. So my ban continues. I just don't see myself playing fantasy football for a while. I got offers from friends recently to join their leagues. I'm like, dude, listen, I respect you, man, but if I join your league, you're gonna have a wasted spot by week 5, week 6, because I'm not gonna give a shit about by that point, because I'm not dedicated enough to doing it. The only time I've ever done a league really in the last couple years, if that, my best friend, he'll come to me and he'll want me to share the league with him, share his team, which I can do in some degree because we're both sharing the thing. It doesn't require my complete dedication to it. But other than that, I just don't care. I came to the conclusion years ago that I am not a fantasy football guru or diehard. I'm just not. So, and that's that. Anyway, let's get to our QOTWs of this week. This week's actually it's not even this week, because this question I put out about a month ago, and I've been sitting on this for a month, and I apologize, guys, for not reading responses, but we're going to do this now finally as I bring this up here on my where the heck is it here? There it is. I actually put out I actually asked for podcast recommendations. It could be one podcast, many podcasts, whatever genre of a podcast that you're into. So I'm gonna read out some of these lists here of podcasts recommended. Our boy Mark Francois said the Just Buy Less Coffee podcast, really good politics pod hosted by 2 teachers. Very cool. Katie says Adam Young, The Place We Find Ourselves, and the Huberman Lab podcast, and of course Tony Evans. Very familiar with Huberman Lab, of course. That's a health podcast. Tony Evans, of course, is a Christian pastor who my mom is a huge fan of for years. Big fan of. I was a big fan when I was more involved in the church. I was a big fan of his also too. Our old friend Chris Maddox says Shits and Gigs, whatever that is. Is that comedy? I don't know. Andrew Miller says Dollar Dogs Bear podcast. Huddle Up, Off the Job. Now, funny because Dollar Dogs Bear is his show. Guys, can you stop sharing your shows? I mean, look, yes, your show's awesome, but I want to hear what you shows you like outside of your own. Huddle Up, of course. I'm part of Huddle Up podcast, so I mean that's great. Appreciate that. Off the Job is the other one he mentioned here. Mark Hottenstein says, without question, Take 3 Wrestling. In addition to that, Tony Schiavone's What Happened When. Eric Bischoff's 83 Weeks, and Strictly Business as well too. That's his wrestling podcast. Awesome. Thank you, Mark, for the shout on Take 3. I'm part of that show too as well. Jim Fields says 2 Spot Monkeys, fully postable wrestling figures podcast, trivia with Buds, and the Fantasy Football Happy Hour. Thank you, Jim, there for that one. Rob Arnett, our good friend, says Questlove Supreme. I have that one too also. Enjoyed one very well. Nick Ficarelli says Serial. Very cool. Thank you. Mikey B. Bernier, he says Take the Wrestling, 3CT, and all the podcasts on the Huddle Up Incorporated feed. Again, thank you, Mike. But again, why are you sharing outside 3CT, of course? Why are you sharing your shows that you're part of already? I get it. It's just that I wanted to be more creative. Give me the shows that you listen to that I'm recommending for you, recommending for us. Like these shows listen to already. Well, is there a baseball show you have out there I want to listen to? I don't know. But thank you, Mikey, for that. Let's continue this. Let's see. Big Jim. He says, won't plug in my own. Thank you, Mikey and Andrew, for the shout out. Good job, Jim. He says WMMR's President Steve's Daily and Bizarre Files podcasts. Of course, Student Game podcast. Kyle Nash, yes. Earth Speaker podcast. This show, yes, sir. Mindless Wrestling, hell yeah. I'm a big fan of that show too. Fun Wrestling Place and Pod Meets World. That's the Boy Meets World podcast. Tony Williams says Lebertard Show, Knuckleheads, All the Smoke. Big fan of Lebertard, of course, and All the Smoke as well. Misty, a friend I just mentioned on the show earlier, she says Unruffled by Janet Lansbury and Binge Mode by The Ringer. Thank you. Patrick Tiller says Joe Rogan. That's good. I love Rogan, of course. Joey Dolan says The Watchables by The Ringer. Fantasy Football Today by CBS Sports. The Greatest Generation Star Trek podcast. That's cool. The Ringerverse. The Low Post. Bill Simmons. Honestly, anything from The Ringer. Awesome. Damian Adams says The Real Deal with Damian Adams. Thank you, Damian, for that one. Scamanda. The Right Time with Imani Jones. Touring the AFC North. 3 the Hard Way. And Sports After Dark. Thank you, Damian. Alex Babbitt says basically the entire Ringer network. Sean Tim says this past weekend with Theo Vaughn. Aaron Coley says how I built this. Courtney Caldwell says One Bills Live. Anything NPR. But especially Planet Money. Race Chasers, the RuPaul Drag Race breakdown show. And I think that's it here. That's it. Yeah. Good choices, guys. Again, I'm not trying to be a dick here. But I'm not saying not plug your shows because I'm okay with that. But I want to learn from you. Like, what are you listening to outside of your own material? You know, that's all I want to know. Here's my shows I'm listening to as of late. I'm going to break it down into genres because I'm a massive content listener of different stuff: sports, politics, wrestling, you name it. So, sports wise, as of late, the Once Right podcast with Nick Wright, love that show. Marcellus Wiley's Never Shut Up. Club Shay Shay, Miami Heat Beat, but I love the Miami Heat Beat podcast especially too. Locked On Heat with our good friend David Ramil and company. So those are the sports shows I recommend to folks. And by the way, this topic was something I'm going to do probably every 6 months. Recycle this because there are always new podcasts going on the pike and interesting and whatnot. On the wrestling end, honestly, I mentioned Manos Wrestling. I know he mentioned that with Jim, which is awesome. My favorite wrestling podcast right now, honestly, is Click This with Kevin Nash. That actually might be my favorite podcast in general, not just wrestling in general. I love Click This. Politics wise, I love the Bulwark course with Charlie Sykes. Breaking Points with Sagar and Crystal. Crystal and Sagar, what was that first? I'm a huge fan now of Kyle Kalinske, who's been he's actually married to Crystal Ball from Breaking Points as well. He's great. I mean, very progressive guy, but common sense guy. On the conservative side, I love Eric Erickson. See, the thing is, even though I'm a moderate, I do tend to listen to both sides, but I like to listen to people who have good faith arguments. So I like Eric Erickson on the conservative side. I actually like Matt Lewis in the news a little bit as well too. So those are my podcasts I listen to these days. Again, this is a very fluid conversation. I think in about 6 months I'll do another podcast recommendation, QOTW, because that's what it is. So anyway, guys, finally, first solo episode in a while. I'm gonna call it there. I'm a little tired. If I sound like I'm dragging ass, slur my words a little bit, I apologize. It's been a long day, really long week. We got good news with my son, thank God. So I'm gonna go home and now rest a little bit, and we'll check in soon. Before I get going, any other like notes and stuff to talk about before I get out of here? I got pods coming up next couple weeks, of course. Look out for football. Like I said, football season. We're gonna have Stu Game Report every week, EJ for Degenerate every week, and then my solo stuff around that. So I'm on Twitter at EJ Christian 7. Guys, especially too, check out the my YouTube page at Earnest EJ Christian on YouTube. Please check out the last episode we just did too. Also, not before this one, the NFL preview show with me and Zach. We went over 2 hours. Fantastic episode. I'm going to try to start sharing clips from that on my YouTube page for certain teams that I think deserve the attention. Check out all the podcasts too. Unfiltered podcast. We're checking Unfiltered. We're back to doing that semi-daily, not every day, but whenever I feel like I'm going to get something that's kind of like time sensitive in the moment that will fit this thing, we'll do it there. The Wrestling Retrospective podcast, of course, I've been doing that every week now. We're on a roll with that one, especially too. And then the shows I'm involved in. Huddle Up Podcast, we're back to live shows next week, every Tuesday at 8:30 on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. And my wrestling podcast, Into Wrestling, Take 3 Wrestling Podcast with me, Mikey B, Joe, and Jim as well, too. So we got a lot going on, man. Just check out my link tree at, I think it's Earnest.Christian. I think it is the link tree. Let me make sure of that. All right, check it now. Link tree, bring it up. Actually, it's not on the computer, not on my phone, actually. Link tree is, stop that. It is, nope. That's not it. I was right. Linktree.com at Earnest Christian. So check it out there. All my work on that one feed. So until then, we'll talk soon. Have a good weekend and enjoy the rest of your summer. Later. Thank you.